It's meteorologist Brian Boggiano, the WDHN storm team. The risk of severe weather increasing across the Wiregrass, and now tornado watch is in effect for our western portions of our area there in Covington County. There's no severe weather quite yet, still relatively quiet, but just off to our west, this is where we're seeing the bulk of the activity now. Numerous tornado warnings, numerous reports of flooding, severe thunderstorm warnings, and this is ongoing still. Hey Richard, I was going to say the Covington County Tornado Watch, that was issued by the Storm Prediction Center, so the National Weather Service. It was on their website, and I am ready to go for the live.
Pressing you live right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Alrighty, here we go. Alrighty, good morning. This is meteorologist Brian Boggiano with the WDHN storm team. And this morning, we are tracking quite a few things. So I'm going to show you what's happening right now and why we're on live. So as of this morning, we are tracking the remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur as they continue to make their way across the Gulf Coast from Louisiana to Mississippi all the way to Alabama. This is an expansive system. These are the remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur, and quite an active morning there from Louisiana to Mississippi. And this activity now beginning to enter Alabama. Our very western counties there now under a tornado watch there in Covington and Crenshaw counties. That goes until 5 o'clock. Right now, no severe weather across the area, but still looking at the rainfall rates increasing. A few more showers moving in from the Panhandle into southeastern Alabama, but the bulk of the activity still remains over Mississippi and far western portions of Alabama. Now, I'm going to step off screen for just a minute. I'm going to click this into the analysis tab, and I'm going to show you exactly what's been happening in terms of storm activity as we have gone a little bit further west in the state. So I'm going to go into analysis quickly, and I'm going to try to track this, or I'm going to track this out for y'all so you can see what's been going on. I'm going to go first, so we're going to go a little bit here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's been happening this morning. Now, further off to our west, where the bulk of the activity has been occurring so far, this is where we've seen the more active patterns. So Mississippi there, as well as Louisiana, that's where we've been seeing those tornado warnings fire up, and was quite active there, I should say, this morning, with tornado warnings just now to the south and the east of Hattiesburg. Not seeing any of those entering Alabama quite yet, but if I go into Mobile's radar, I want to show you exactly what's been happening there in terms of the tornadic storms there, because we had quite a lot of them over the last hour with a tornado there near Hattiesburg. No severe weather as of yet, though, in Alabama, but just to show you how active this was. We were looking at tornado warnings all the way from just north of Biloxi, closer to Jackson, Alabama, but just to the west of the state line. But still, rounds of heavy rain. They continue to move from southwest to northeast and even a little bit closer to home. What I'm going to do now is I am going to get us a little bit closer to home, so I'm going to go back to our radar. And what we're seeing now is radar starting to fill in for us, but none of this is severe quite yet. So taking a look at the satellite and radar here, what you're noticing, heavier rain that started to move into Covington County about an hour or two ago. That has now moved out to the north and the east. We had some heavier rain now moving towards Ozark, as well as closer there to Barber County, and even there towards Pike County. We saw some heavy rain moving through earlier, now just lighter activity. And further to the south, this is what we're going to be watching as it moves on shore. We have more activity starting to move in across I-10. This will move to the north as we go throughout the day. So right now, nothing severe, just a few light showers, maybe some pockets of heavy rain, but we're not quite seeing that severe potential unfold yet. But it's as we get into the next few hours, that's when I expect some more instability to rise in our area. We're also looking at the potential for wind shear to increase. This is expected to increase as we go throughout the day. But right now, the only area that's under a tornado watch in our area, that is Covington County, as well as Crenshaw County there. That was issued by the that's actually in the National Weather Service office in Mobile's area. Now, I still expect the watch possibly to be extended to the east across areas, maybe towards Coffee County or Dale County or Geneva County. That's under the National Weather Service in Tallahassee's purvey. But for us, we are not under a watch quite yet. But I will note, with this watch that's further to the west, the National Weather Service did note that there was a chance for several tornadoes that were expected, but this is also including what's going on in Mississippi right now, as well as western portions of Alabama. Here in terms of southeastern Alabama, there is a risk for a few tornadoes, especially as we get towards the afternoon. But right now, just seeing a few showers that are moving through. Some heavy rain. Now I'm going to change this time lapse. I'm going to go off screen for just a minute. I'm going to change the time lapse for this. And I just want to show you exactly what's been happening. Let's say maybe not over the last 6 hours. Maybe let's go to the last hour. Because I want to show you this a little bit more of what's been happening a little bit more recently. So we're not going through old radar imagery, so we get a little more current. So what we're looking at still, we had some heavy rain moving through there in Coffee and Dale counties over the last hour. That's starting to move out, but now it's going closer to there near Eufaula in Barber County, as well as in Troy there in Pike County. Still though, in areas of Geneva County, saw some heavy rain. Dothan, pretty dry for the most part. Might be seeing a shower moving there towards the south side of town, as well as just to the west, but we're not seeing any rain quite yet for most of our area. At this point, largely scattered showers. Not really in terms of much of thunderstorms, we're not seeing that. And really over the panhandle, for the most part, we are dry for the time being. The heaviest of the rain, though, that is closer there to Mobile, as well as to Bruton near I-65. I'm going to step off screen for just a minute. We're going to get out of the analysis tab, and I want to track this out hour by hour for you all so you can see when the risk increases for our area. We'll time this out together. I'll explain a lot more in detail, that is, as to what our severe weather risk looks like, what ingredients we have in terms of how much rain we're expecting, the setup. I'm going to address all of that for you. So what we're looking at as we go throughout the rest of the morning, generally we're still looking at the chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms, with coverage tending to increase after we get towards maybe, let's say, the 10 o'clock time frame. After that, as we get towards the afternoon, so this is around noon, we're looking at the potential for scattered to widespread showers and thunderstorms, and something we're going to have to watch in some of these cells that move through, especially here, maybe not validating in this exact way, and especially out to the west first. I do think the threat's going to spread from west to east as we go throughout the day. So more west to east and south to north as those bands start moving in from the west, and also as they start lifting in from the panhandle and the Gulf. We're going to have to watch these cells because there is a risk for tornadoes. And with these storms, here's what happens when you have a landfalling tropical system. You have winds aloft out of the south and the west, so they blow from southwest to northeast. And with that, that's mainly from the movement of the tropical system itself. At the same time, closer to the surface, you have southerly winds, maybe a little bit of a southeasterly component. So that creates wind shear, and that wind shear makes a favorable environment for tornadoes to form. But with tropical systems, they tend to be brief spin-ups that come with little to no warning. So that's why we watch these setups very carefully. And the ingredients we have today, the shear, a little bit more instability, and a little bit more spin than we had yesterday. So yesterday we had 2 possible tornadoes touching down the Wiregrass, and the potential is today we could see maybe more depending on if the ingredients come together at the right time, or the wrong time, I should say there. So something we're watching very carefully is how they overlap and exactly how they interact. But regardless, we are starting to see the ingredients come in as a result of the remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur's arrival. Now here we are by 1 o'clock, still seeing heavy rain moving through the Wiregrass, maybe a little bit of a break for some of us, but take a look what happens as we get into the afternoon and the evening. Now we have this line of thunderstorms, potentially severe storms, also producing very heavy rain. There's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. This flow out of the south and west This is Gulf moisture, and that is very, very rich moisture and a lot of water there. So the atmosphere has a lot of water to work with. And at the same time, we have a cold front just to our north. So those two features together really amplifying the potential rainfall totals across our area. Now, as we get closer to the evening hours, this activity continuing to move to the east, but something else I'm watching for. We have more of a line type feature now across southeastern Alabama. So with this, there is the potential maybe we do see an embedded tornado or two, and especially if we see cells like these are developing, not saying they're going to validate in this exact way, shape, or form, but just showing you that potential is there, that we could see that tornado threat continuing. Regardless, though, with these repeated rounds of heavy rain, so take a look at now this activity here. This is heavy rain expanding for miles, and because of that, there is a risk for flash flooding because these rain bands, they're coming on and off, and if they train or repeatedly fall over the same area again and again, that's where we could see that heavy rainfall risk verify, and that's something we're also watching out for. But that tornado watch generally for our western counties, so Covington and Crenshaw counties there, as well as anywhere near and west of 65. That's where the tornado watch is in effect right now. That goes until 5 o'clock tonight. Now, anywhere in the watch area, so not saying it's exclusively Covington County, there's a potential for several tornadoes today. We have more than enough wind shear, we have more than enough instability, there's more than enough spin in the atmosphere available, and with the influence of Tropical Storm Arthur's remnants, any landfalling tropical system, or its remnants I should say there is that risk for landfalling, or I should say there is that risk for tornadoes, so that is why we're seeing that watch that is issued further to the west there. Now, further to the east, we're not under any watches yet. Could we see a watch expanded? Yes, I do expect at the very least maybe Geneva County, Coffee County, and Dale County in terms of Houston or Henry. I'm not going to say that quite yet, but there is that potential for a couple tornadoes area-wide, and we have a level 2 risk of severe weather that now includes portions of northwestern Dothan and western Dothan itself. This expanded a little bit more to the east from this morning. So this morning, we were mainly looking at near and west of 231. This is now expanded to about near and just to the east of 431 in Henry County, closer in Houston County. It goes along this corridor roughly from Highway 52 to Highway 431 and points to the north and the west in our area. But regardless if you're under a level 2 risk or a level 1 risk, the ingredients are there for severe weather today, and we could see a few damaging wind gusts as well as a few tornadoes. Is something we continue to watch very carefully here at WDHN, and we'll continue to keep you updated on air and online with the latest. Now, the first variable I'm going to look at in terms of tornado potential is the storm strength, and what we're looking at, it's what we call the CAPE. And that is really just the energy that's available for these storms to develop. So taking a look as we go throughout the morning. Now with these cells starting to fire up, I'm noticing first it's in our western counties. So this is just one ingredient. So they're in Covington County. Entering in the next couple hours, we start to see a little more energy. We're starting to get a little bit more juiced up as we go further to the east, mainly to areas east of 331. But I don't expect the peak of the energy to arrive until maybe early Thursday afternoon. But it doesn't take just the energy alone in terms of tornadic potential. So that's something else we're watching, but still more than enough energy further to the west there. Further to the east, we're still seeing that energy picking up, and closer to the 6 or 7 o'clock time frame as we have peak daytime heating, as the storm gets closer, as the spin and the instability increase, and as we see the influence of what we call the lower level jet, or the winds maybe about 5,000 feet above the surface, we start to see more energy ramping up. So as a result, the tornado potential actually could increase as we get later into the afternoon and early into the evening. So something we're watching even after sunset as the storm system moves through. And then eventually as we get towards the midnight hour, I do not expect us to have as much of a tornado potential, but still strong to severe storms and heavy rain cannot be completely ruled out. Now I'm going to show you wind shear. So this is what I'm going to explain here. You see these white arrows. These are winds that are going just above the surface. Now the red arrows, this is about 5,000 feet up, and these are critical levels we look at for tornado potential. So I'm going to note one thing here. Notice this morning we have those winds to the surface out of the south, maybe slightly out of the south-southwest. Now take a look at what's happening 5,000 feet above. We have these winds now out of the southwest, and that's the setup we have with these tropical systems. Now as we get closer in time to, let's say, maybe about 10 or 11, notice now we start to have perfectly south or southeasterly winds, southwesterly winds. So shear is starting to pick up there in terms of Covington County, maybe areas further off to the east, closer to Coffee and Geneva, starting to see that wind shear picking up. Now, if any storms can form, I'm not saying they're all going to be tornadic. That's not the case. It's just the potential is there for them to become tornadic, at least briefly. And as we go through time, we're starting to see more of those south winds, maybe slightly south-southwest, and definitely more southwest there, and these are faster winds aloft. So because of that, that also picks up that potential for tornadic thunderstorms. And we're seeing that potential into the afternoon as well as into the evening across the Wiregrass. So this is something we're watching as we go throughout all of your Thursday. And regardless, though, if we do not see that tornado threat, we are still expecting heavy rain, which could lead to some localized flooding across our area. Excuse me, and the storm chances still continuing as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon. Generally looking at the fuel available for the storms this morning as well as this afternoon and evening. So these numbers here you're seeing, when you're above 1,000, that's what you want in terms of your CAPE, and we're definitely seeing that. So that's something that we're seeing as we go throughout the afternoon. Maybe not as high as we have seen in the past with tropical systems. You don't need quite as high in terms of that instability. We're still seeing those values between 1,000 and 2,000 for the energy. Those continue as we go into the evening, but notice now by Friday morning, we're starting to see a lack of instability. So at that point, I expect the tornado risk to go down somewhat, but not completely to zero. And I do want to explain one scene a little bit more in detail. There's a couple scenes. One of my scenes I got mixed up. So it was the first scene in terms of the components, and I'm going to explain that for y'all a little bit more in detail. So this first scene here, this is storm strength. This is specifically the level of rotation in the atmosphere. So I want to show you that. In our eastern counties, not quite the highest as we get into the early to late morning, but towards our western counties, this is where it's a little bit higher as we go throughout the late morning and early afternoon. So there in Covington County, if storms can form and take advantage of the environment, there's a chance that they could become tornadic because this rotation strength, that's more than feasible for a tornado to form. Now this strength is starting to spread to the east as we go throughout the afternoon, and that's when maybe Coffee County, Dale County, Geneva County, maybe Houston County start to see a little bit more of that available rotation. And this is what we call the surface relative helicity. So that's the storm strength there. Now, as we go throughout the evening, this is what I'm looking at with particular concern. If we have enough instability here and enough wind shear, especially there towards Covington County, maybe there towards Crenshaw County, as well as Pike County, if we have an atmosphere that can take advantage of this, this is where we could see a tornado risk potentially increasing as we go throughout the evening. So something we continue to watch because this can change, it can stay the same. And I'm not saying a tornado definitely will form, but I am saying the ingredients are there and the potential is there. It just depends on how well any forming storm can take advantage of the atmospheric conditions. That's something we're looking at as we go throughout the rest of the day. I'm going to step off screen for just a moment as I do want to see if we have any questions from any of the viewers. And I don't see any right now, but if y'all do have questions, you can ask and we will answer. But let's see. So I'm not seeing anything. I might be, let's see. So I have, let's see. So I'm asked, we have a question about a recap. So yes, I'm going to explain what's happening. So at this point in time, we have the remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur. And what's happening is that most of the convection from this is located over Louisiana and Mississippi, but is just starting to make its way into Alabama. So I'm going to show you on our analysis tab again what's going on so you can see a little bit more clearly. So at this point, we have the remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur, which are moving through portions of Mississippi, and now we're starting to see some heavier rain moving into Alabama. Now there's a tornado watch in effect for portions of Covington County, or for Covington County, as well as Crenshaw County, but for the rest of the Wiregrass, there are no watches or warnings in effect. Still some brief episodes of heavy rain are moving in, and with these tropical cyclones, you see a brief episode of heavy rain, then it stops, the sun comes out, usually feels very muggy, and that's what we're feeling this morning. And that's in fact something else I want to address too, and I'm going to do that a little bit later. Hold on one second. All right, so something we're watching though with landfalling tropical systems, or their remnants in this case, is that there is the potential for those spin-up tornadoes, which is what we're watching for today. But that risk looks like it's not going to increase until maybe closer to about the 11 or 12 o'clock time frame, maybe closer to, I would say about 11 or 12, it looks like that risk will increase area-wide. But it looks like the storms might be moving just a tad bit slower than originally forecast. So probably closer to 12 or 1, I would say, is when that risk goes up. Now, in terms of the risk for Dothan, we do have those ingredients for the tornadic storms to form, which these are usually very brief in tropical systems and they're remnants. So you have a brief spin-up tornado, touches down, within a few minutes, it lifts back up. So in Dothan itself, there are the ingredients there for tornadoes. In terms of whether one's going to touch down or not, that one we can't make the exact determination, but there is a risk today, and there is a risk of tornadoes area-wide. Now, the highest risk is roughly for areas near and west of the 231-431 corridor, and I'll show you that again. And I'll show you that where it is. Let's see. Here we go. So anywhere that's in this yellow area, this is a slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center, and this is mainly for damaging winds of 60 miles per hour and a few tornadoes possible. So Dothan itself, there is that risk of severe weather. But the tornado watch right now, yes, is only for Covington and Crenshaw counties. There's no watch in effect for anywhere to the east, at least as of now. But are we watching for the potential that it does expand to the east a little bit later, maybe let's say closer to 11 or 12? Yes, there is that potential. Not saying that it definitely will happen. I personally expect that it will happen, but right now there are no tornado watches or warnings in effect for our area outside of Covington County and Crenshaw County, which are both under a tornado watch. So let's see. There's one thing also I wanted to show with this, and this is instability. So I want to show you an idea of like what's going on in terms of how unstable the atmosphere is, or something else I'm seeing on my end that I notice. So we're noticing temperatures, they're starting to warm up as we have more sun, more daytime heating, so we have more peaks in between the clouds. So that also increases instability when you have that heating, and that increases the risk potential for severe weather. So right now we're about 83 degrees in Dothan, 86 in Mariana, 81 there in Ozark, about 83 degrees in Donaldsonville. So largely in the 80s, near and east of 231, as well as near and south of 52, up to 84 degrees there in Vernon. But this is not the only thing we look at. Now, when tropical systems come in, as they move to the north and the east, they becked in a lot of moisture from south to north, and we're seeing that from the Gulf right now. I'm going to show you what those dew points look like. So here's what we're looking like as we go into the morning hours in terms of those dew points. These are very high, very soupy. So you see numbers like 77, even 80 degrees there now in Geneva, 80 degrees in Funiac Springs. That tells me there is a lot of moisture in the air. The air is also very buoyant. It doesn't take a lot for the air to be saturated and form clouds, typically at very low levels. So this is also something we look at. When you have those low clouds, you also have more formidable conditions for tornadoes to form. So I'm not saying they are going to happen, but it's just another ingredient that you need. And also when you see dew points like 80 or 78 or 77, that promotes rising air. Rising air eventually cools, forms clouds, condenses, and that's how you get those thunderstorms. So that's something else I'm watching. I'm not saying for sure that something is going to form, but I'm just saying that's another ingredient that's present that I was noticing as we went throughout the morning, was that these values were very high. So what time should the Dothan area expect tornadoes or severe weather? Generally, we are looking after the 12 to 1 o'clock time frame. At this time is what we're looking at in terms of the severe potential here in Dothan is generally going to be closer to midday. So after that 12 to 1 o'clock time frame, but still watching for potential. Maybe we could see something probably about by 12 or 1 is when I would say our potential goes up, but still watching areas to our west for maybe a little bit earlier, closer to about 11. But I'm also watching again as we go throughout the afternoon, the evening after 3 or 4 o'clock, because that's when we see a band of activity set up. And I think we got the latest model run in for one of the models that's been doing well on this. So I actually want to show you the updated model run on that. All right, so I'm going to show you that, and we will. Okay. All right, so I'll show you an updated model run to show you when I believe, or when we believe, the severe weather threat will increase for areas a little bit further to the east. So right now for all of us, we're not experiencing any severe weather warnings at this point. So there's no severe thunderstorms, no tornadoes in our area. We have that tornado watch further out to the west in Covington County, but it's not generally until we get closer to maybe about, let's see, clicker is acting up. Okay, here's why. All right. So here's what we are seeing. So I don't expect any significant timing changes, maybe about an hour or two later. But what we're looking at is generally by around the 12 to 1 o'clock time frame. This is when we start to see those showers and thunderstorms that could be severe warned moving into Dothan. There is a chance that some of these that they could be briefly spin up in nature, but the greatest severe threat still remaining off to our west through that point. But there is a chance as these first thunderstorms move through in the next 2 to 3 hours that maybe we could see a brief damaging wind of 60 miles per hour, maybe a brief tornado. The wind shear will be increasing in this time, so that is something I'm also looking at, is that we do have increasing wind shear, maybe just enough spin, maybe locally. So that's what I'm starting to watch. This is closer to 12, but it's no guarantee because with these tropical systems, you get very brief spin ups. So you usually very little or no warning whatsoever at that. You get brief heavy rain, you get brief heavy winds, and then maybe a brief tornado that moves through. So that's what we're looking at in Dothan. Now, according to this model, clearing out maybe a little bit of a break between 2 and 3, but then as we get towards the evening, another line of activity that approaches our area. So this is now after 3 o'clock, so to 4 and 5, maybe closer to 6. Now we see more training activity moving in, and any of these storms could be strong or severe, and any of them could produce locally heavy rainfall leading to flash flooding. And we're also going to address that risk because that risk also remains significant in our area, and there is a lot to discuss there. And yes, viewer makes a good point there. It's actually something we do see a lot in terms of these tropical systems with that tornadic potential. Let's see. Let's see, someone asking about travel plans. In terms of travel plans, I'm not going to say one way or the other, but if you are on the roadway today, do heed plenty of caution because area-wide there is a pretty substantial risk of flash flooding. And we're actually going to go into that right now. So even if you don't see the tornadic storms or even the severe storms in your area, there still is the risk for very heavy rainfall that could lead to flash flooding. And I want to show you the latest risk from the Weather Prediction Center. And this risk has gone up. So let me show you. We have now a very rare, moderate, level 3 out of 4 risk of flash flooding. So in addition to the severe weather, we're also watching for the potential of very heavy rainfall leading to localized flash flooding. Potentially significant to catastrophic just to our south and our west along this line from Crestview to Macomb, just north of New Orleans. We also have that medium or moderate risk, I should say, that now includes the entirety of the Wiregrass, so Dothan, Ozark, Enterprise. In these areas, heavy rain, especially if we do see maybe a band moves through, maybe it starts training and falling over the same place again and again. You can easily get 2, 3, 4 inches of that in an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And that's enough to cause some localized flash flooding, or at least localized flooding in poor drainage, low-lying, and urban areas. We have a very saturated atmosphere, so it would not take much, especially if you see training storms, to see rainfall totals of that end verify. And I will remind viewers once again, we do have that flood watch that's in effect through early Saturday morning. So that's something we're watching for too, is these rounds of rain could easily produce up to 3 to 6, maybe even isolated amounts of 10 inches of rainfall. So let's see what else is. So this flood watch does go through Friday night and early Saturday morning, but even after we get through the rain really through Friday, I do want to show you what's happening in terms of what's going on after Thursday night, I should say, and going into Friday. So going to Friday morning, we still have this line of activity potentially making its way through the Wiregrass. Heavy rain leading to localized flooding, and now we're talking about potential for nighttime flooding. So this is where we also have a hazard because roads at night generally, they're harder to see if they're flooded. So this is where the risk level rises in terms of significant impacts from flash flooding. We also have the potential for strong storms with winds up to 50, maybe 60 miles per hour and localized gusts as this moves through. There's a risk for maybe an embedded tornado, and that risk more isolated as we go into our Friday. But take a look still. repeated rounds of heavy rain over the Wiregrass as we start off Friday morning and then going into Friday afternoon as well as Friday evening, slowly clearing out, but still looking at that heavy rain potential at least the first half of Friday until this front here starts to move through. Now there is a chance, even as the remnants of Arthur move away, we still have enough of that southwesterly flow off the Gulf and with the presence of that front that could initialize more showers and thunderstorms for our Saturday. So we're keeping rain chances elevated for that day as a result. But for Friday, looking at another risk of severe weather, a level 1 risk across the Wiregrass. This is mainly for damaging winds of 60 miles per hour, a low chance of maybe a weak, brief, isolated tornado or two, but still watching for that. And we are still going through the data, and as we find out more, we'll keep you updated on air and online. But for tomorrow, regardless, a level 3 risk of flash flooding area wide. Level 2 risk further to the south and the east, so we are watching that flood threat for multiple days, and not just for your Friday, even for your Saturday, a level 2 risk. So what's happening is that each day we're seeing more and more rainfall, or at least forecasting more and more rainfall. And if those forecast totals verify, what happens is it doesn't take as much rainfall to get to those flash flooding conditions when the soils are saturated, when creeks are full. So that's why we watch that. Even if we get maybe, let's say, 3 to 5 inches today, and then we add 1 to 2 inches tomorrow, let's just say, that would increase the flash flood risk. So going to our Saturday would not take as much if the forecast totals for Thursday and Friday verify for us to see that flash flooding potential. Now here are those forecast totals generally over the next week. We're mainly looking at about 4 to 6 inches of rain for much of the Wiregrass, but you go further to the west, that's about 6 to 8 inches. 10 inches also possible further to our south and our west, and even locally higher amounts, maybe 10 to 12 inches, can't be completely ruled out. So I'm going to sum up exactly what the impacts are for today, or really throughout the duration of this event. We're looking at rainfall totals generally between about 4 and 8 inches area wide, with isolated totals of 10 to 12 inches. Now this could lead to significant flash flooding, especially if we see more rainfall than forecast, and especially if we see training thunderstorms, meaning they're falling over the same place again and again and again. Now, damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and a few tornadoes remain the primary hazards. And even though we have the timing starting now, we are going to push it back a couple hours because these storms, they are moving a little bit slower than forecast. But still, with that tornado watch now in Covington and Crenshaw counties, we are starting to watch out there for any storms that form and might briefly rotate. But we're not quite seeing that right now. And I'm going to go to, I'm going to go to a very quick view of radar, actually, as we slowly approach the 9:34 time frame. So here's radar right now. I'm going to show you a radar loop. So for our area, we don't have any severe weather at this time. We don't have any severe weather at this time in our area. Now we do have some batches of heavy rain, maybe just some light pockets there closer to Dothan, just to the east there of town. We have maybe some heavy rain just moving to the north of Webb. Going a little closer to Kinsey, nothing severe with this, just some brief regular old rain. We also have pretty decent amount of activity there falling in portions of Barber County and Pike County starting to move out. And even there towards Ozark, we have some of the heavier rain there. In terms of exactly in terms of maybe rotation potential that we might be seeing in terms of the storms to our west, I do want to see this just in case for some of the stuff coming off the Gulf. So even going into Funiac there, I'm just checking. I'm not seeing anything in terms of rotation, but we always do check here just to be safe. Surface. So at this point, we're not seeing any rotation quite yet with any storms in our area. We hope it stays that way. A little further away from the radar, but not seeing anything quite concerning as well further to the west. Could be seeing some stronger winds there. Further off, closer to Mobile, with some of these storms moving in. And as some of these storms move in on the shoreline, something that happens is that when you have a tropical system that makes landfall immediately along the shoreline, you have the winds aloft that don't slow down quite as much because of the effects of friction. But at the surface, they do slow down. So at that point, that's speed shear. So when you have the winds that are stronger aloft and towards the surface, they're slowing down. But now the difference between those two winds is greater. you get greater wind shear. That also leads to an increased tornado potential. What you also have is directional shear. So when you have the southeasterly winds at the surface combined with the southwesterly winds aloft, that also creates those ingredients. Let's see if we have any more questions. I don't see any more questions right now, but I will give another recap of what's going on. So at this moment, we continue to track the remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur. There is pretty active weather just off to our west, and it looks like a severe thunderstorm warning was just issued for portions of southwestern Alabama. Again, not in our area, but something we're watching, because as these storms move through, I'm noticing a couple of things. Number one, instability has been rising in our area, and it looks like it should at least stay decently favorable, at least in our southern and western counties, and at least further to the east through the afternoon. So something we're watching there. We're also looking at the potential for wind shear to remain elevated, which that's also something you need for these storms to form, and the potential for the amount of spin in the atmosphere to be sufficient. That is also there. So this is something we're watching as we go further to the east. Now, in terms of what we're seeing right now, there is the potential for those tornadic storms still. There is a level 2 risk of flash flooding in the Wiregrass, or level 3 risk today in the Wiregrass, level 2 risk of severe weather, but that risk is highest for flash flooding just off to our south and our west. But even still, level 3 risk, this is very rare for our area, and is something we continue to watch throughout the day. And that flood watch, that continues all the way through Saturday morning. Another level 3 risk, that is in effect as we go into the day tomorrow. And to show you where that severe weather risk is, again, generally along and northwest of a line from Kinsey all the way to Black and further to the north and the west, it's a level 2 risk. Elsewhere, that is a level 1, but regardless of whether that risk is a level 1 or a level 2, there are ingredients there to support at least a few tornadoes firing up, brief spin-up tornadoes as we go throughout the afternoon. And that is going to be as long as, since we do have the atmospheric variables there, as long as any storm that forms can take advantage of those ingredients there, then we would see a tornado or two form. If not, we wouldn't, but still, we are keeping our guard up very high on this matter. In terms of, let's see, the tornado watch, showing you where that is mainly in effect for our western counties, or just for our western counties. So that is Covington County, that is also Crenshaw County there. But no, it's not going to be every gust of wind today is a tornado. No, it's not going to be that. So there is that potential for wind gusts in some of these storms that could be up to 40, 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. So that is a risk there. So there is still that potential for straight line winds today. Most places likely will not see a tornado, but there still is that risk for a few tornadoes as we go throughout the afternoon. What time will Ashford start seeing the severe weather? I'm not expecting the severe weather threat to rise there until after about 12 or 1 o'clock, generally in that time frame. In that noon to 1 o'clock time frame is when I expect the risk for severe weather to start increasing for our eastern counties, closer to 31. But while the risk of tornadoes today is high, we also still, once again, do have that damaging wind risk, and we also have that heavy rain hazard that we have to worry about as well for the potential of localized flash flooding. So with all the rain that we've gotten, which I think I have a map of how much rain we've gotten over the last 5 days. Let's take this. This is at least on our Barron system. We've had indicated totals of 2 to 4 inches. But I want to see some of these radar-derived totals. I believe these are going to be a little more accurate than that. So we're going to look at accumulations. But it looks like these are about in line. 4.5, 3.5, near Dothan about 1.1, near Enterprise 2.7, Northern Henry County 2.5. So with this, almost 5 inches there in east central Covington County. But Asking if another Enterprise tornado if Enterprise could see another tornado today. So while the risk is elevated area-wide, in terms of pinpointing to a specific city, it really depends on just where these storms form and how the ingredients set up. But I do not have, unfortunately though, with this far out in time, it's very hard to predict exactly the exact odds that a certain city will see it. There is the risk for brief spin-up tornadoes today. That's what I'm expecting the predominant mode to be today, are those brief spin-up tornadoes. I don't expect to have a complete outbreak in the Wiregrass. I'm hoping not. With what I'm seeing, I don't see that, but still I do see the ingredients there for at least a few tornadoes going throughout the day that would be brief spin-up. Not everybody will see a tornado. Probably what the hazard most of us will probably end up seeing is heavy rain. There's about a 90 to 100% chance of rain today, and there is that elevated risk of flash flooding today. So that's what we're watching for right now, is just as the remnants of Tropical Storm Arthur move through, bands of rain, they're going to move through. So heavy rain, that is likely today, and that's likely to be the primary hazard. But still, with any landfalling tropical system, with some of these bands that move through, you could get maybe some brief severe thunderstorm level wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, and they last briefly. And there's always that chance for that tornado or two that are very quick to touch down and lift up. So something we're watching too as we go into the day. But I'm not expecting that everybody's going to see a tornado. I'm expecting more so these bands of rain, they're going to move through, they're going to have heavy rain for a couple minutes, then they move out, and then you see more activity. But as we get towards the evening, there is the potential we're watching again for maybe more activity to move in this evening, as we were showing in the future track, and I'll show that again for this afternoon and this evening. So for this morning, generally looking at isolated scattered activity with most of the strongest activity still in our western counties. Now, as we get towards about the 11 to 12 o'clock time frame, that's when I'm expecting the potential for severe weather to increase in our western counties. It's as we get closer to 12, maybe 1, if any of these storms here that are depicted in our western counties can move to the north and the east and take advantage of that environment, I expect that by 12 to 1, we're going to start to see the severe weather potential picking up a little bit more further to the east. And then I think definitely by 2 and 3 and by 4 o'clock, as more heavy rain moves in, this is when we're looking at that risk of flash flooding increasing, as well as the potential for maybe the severe weather to continue, which in this case, most places I'm expecting we're going to see possibly wind gusts up to 40, 50 miles per hour at the highest. 60, though, cannot be ruled out. There is that level 2 risk of severe weather, and there still is a chance for a couple of tornadoes to move through our area. So closer to Webb, it's looking closer to about the 1 o'clock time. So that's the timing there. Is generally about 12 to 1 start time for our eastern counties, which will include Houston County, which will include Henry County, also in Early County, though there is the potential that activity could linger later into the night. And we've been seeing this on some of the models that maybe after sunset, so closer to 6, 7, maybe 8 o'clock, if we especially see this scenario where this line of activity moves in. And I'm going to show you that a little broader. So Arthur itself, the low-level system associated with it, looks like that's going to move over Mississippi. And as that moves to the north and interacts with a front right here. So here's the front right here. And here is the remnants of Arthur. There's a chance we could see some enhancement to the activity as it moves through the Wiregrass. So there's a chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that is a chance we're watching. And as that happens, still some heavy rain, damaging winds, and maybe an embedded tornado or two can't be completely ruled out in our area. Will Donaldsonville get any of the weather? Well, Donaldsonville does have a risk for flooding today, as well as the risk for an isolated tornado. So expect the risk is maybe a little bit less further to the south and the west in Georgia, but I do believe there is that risk there. I'm not saying it's a definitive, but there is that tornado risk is there, maybe just a little bit lower. Let's see. For the most part, any tornadoes that do touch down will be short-lived. I'm not expecting a scenario where we have long-track destructive tornadoes. The ingredients are not favorable for that. And with tropical cyclones, it's generally very, 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 very rare for that to happen. You have to have a lot of ingredients set up at the right time. I don't see that happening. But still, these brief spin-up tornadoes, they can cause trouble, and they also should be taken seriously. Or at least, I shouldn't say that, but they can create their own hazards, and they're also something that we do have to look out for. And then we're also having questions about closer to Washington County. I believe Chipley is Washington County. Yes, it is. A little bit further, a little bit closer to the coast. So with these storms that move through, as they get onto the coast, there is the chance that as they start to move further inland, you have more of an effect of friction that takes place at the surface. Not so much aloft. There's less of effect of friction there, so the winds generally are faster aloft and they stay faster. But something else we're watching too, and I'll go into this for our northern counties, and this is a variable I did not address quite yet, but I'll address the Washington County question first, is that you still have those winds that are very strong aloft, and you also have those winds slowing down at the surface. And there is enough instability there that maybe we could squeeze out the potential for a tornado there, but not necessarily saying one's going to happen. In Washington County, you're generally under that level 1 risk, but there still is a chance for maybe a damaging wind gust of 60 miles per hour, maybe a brief tornado or two in that area. And will Geneva get any of this? Geneva is in the risk area, and it's looking that risk is going to pick up generally after the 12 p.m. hour. But even right now, I'm actually shifting gears to Mobile's radar. And I'm seeing in the Mobile area, they're getting a little more active. They actually have a tornado warning in Mobile, but they have a little bit of a more favorable setup than we do right now. I'm not saying that scenario is going to verify there, but just saying that there's definitely a more active pattern moving into portions of southwestern Alabama, but for our area, there are no severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado warnings. But something we're watching for generally over the next 4 to 6 hours, and this is what I meant to say, is the low-level jet, and that's the winds that are a little bit higher up in the atmosphere, about 5,000 feet, close to about a mile up. So when those winds tend to get higher, you have shear that's amplified, and that helps any of these developing cells grow. It helps them have those rotating updrafts, and it helps them become potentially tornadic, or at least produce some damaging winds that manage to mix down to the surface, maybe get a 50, 60 mile per hour gust. That's also something we're watching as we get closer to about the 1 or 2 o'clock hour in portions of southeastern Alabama. So that's something that I'm tracking as we go throughout the afternoon. And then I have a question asking about Biloxi. The Biloxi area has had quite an active morning. I mean, there have been severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings there. Looks like there is still an active tornado watch there until 5 o'clock. Looks like there might be a flood advisory. I'm actually looking at it right now. What's this? Yeah, it looks like there's been a good amount of flooding there, but what I'm seeing right now in terms of there is that they still have high instability there, but it looks like the bulk of the weather for at least now has moved out. But still, in terms of the Wiregrass, we're watching for our severe potential picking up over the next couple of hours. And I definitely do see the instability remaining within range to have at least a couple severe thunderstorms and at least a couple tornadoes. But not everybody will see a tornado today, but the tornadoes that do form, generally for the most part, they're going to take on a very quick spin up and a very short-lived type of nature, which is pretty common with these tropical cyclones that develop. So it's something we're going to watch, but I'm not seeing any more. Okay, I did see something. Let's see, I did not actually, did I? All right. I'm gonna leave it on radar for just a second. I'm just gonna show you all what we're seeing at this point. But at this point in time across the Wiregrass, we are not seeing any severe weather as of yet. But there is that tornado watch that's in effect for our area. Now, in terms of if you do, I did have a question about a mobile home or a trailer home. I'm not going to say either way, but I will say that if a warning is issued, just make sure you do have a plan. Make sure that you do know your safe place. I'm not expecting a widespread outbreak today, but with these tropical systems, they can produce brief spin-up tornadoes, and it's something that is a chance today. So I'm just going to say to keep that in mind, and also just to have a plan just in case that a warning is issued. So that's what I'm going to say there, and just also know where your safe place is. In terms of what we're seeing right now, we're not seeing any severe thunderstorm warnings in our area. We're not seeing tornado warnings, and if we're expecting power outages. The power outages would happen if we do see a widespread wind event, which I do not expect. If we do see power outages, so what we had last time with the widespread power outages, we had a mesoscale convective system move through, and that was a long line of thunderstorms producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. I don't see that set up today. I also don't see a widespread tornado outbreak verifying. So at this point in time, I do not expect any widespread power outages. Localized power outages are definitely possible, especially if we do deal with a situation where now we get falling trees due to high winds or tornadic storms that move through and they go over power lines. That's definitely a possibility. Clio, you are in that risk of seeing severe weather there in Barber County. I believe that is a level 2, if I'm not wrong. Let's see. Okay, let's go to SPC. So Clio, you're in that level 2 risk. You are in that level 2 risk. You're going to see the potential of strong to severe storms today, with the potential for a tornado in that area. So you are in that area. It's in the 5% tornado threat. And this is new. It now looks like what we were thinking is that now western Covington County, so this is, I believe, the chances of seeing a tornado within 50 miles is now at 10% for eastern areas of Covington County, or western areas of Covington County. My bad, I'm sorry. So tornado risk is a little bit higher further off to the west, where we have a little more of the favorable shear that sets up. We still have those ingredients further to the east, a little bit less so, but still we're watching as area-wide there is that tornado risk. And it doesn't matter if that is necessarily level 1 risk or level 2 risk, because we've seen level 1 risk days that have had tornadoes that have caused those impacts. We've also seen level 2 or 3 days that maybe we didn't see the forecast verify. But still, when there is that risk and when there are those ingredients present, it is something we will continue to watch for area-wide. But for now, since I'm not seeing any new questions, we are going to sign off. We do have WDHN at daytime coming up at 11. I will keep you updated there. I'll also go into what the latest in terms of the information we know, what we don't know. Because at this point, we do have the ingredients, but just how long they last in favorability and how that convection fires up in terms of how it overlaps with the wind shear, how it overlaps with the instability, how it overlaps with spin and daytime heating. These are factors that will make or potentially put a lid on what we see. So there's definitely something, we definitely have the ingredients, but how they come together and when they come together, that's going to determine whether we see that risk verify or not. But still, with those ingredients present, there is that risk for at least a few tornadoes today, so something we are watching. And then Arrowton and Rocky Head, this is an area we're watching too, especially as we get closer to about 12 or 1, where we could still see that chance of an isolated tornado, maybe also that risk of flash flooding as well. So that's something else we've talked about, is that flash flooding. If we see 5 to 10 inches of rain, this is going to create problems at least for the next few days, or maybe we see some flooding in low-lying areas. In terms of rivers, since we have been dry, we should be fine there, but localized flooding is something we will have to watch out for. And in terms of Destin, you're also under that tornado risk today. I believe that's a level 2 risk. Still looking at the potential for very heavy rain there, especially as these storms come on shore. So that's something else that is there. So for Destin right now, I'm not seeing, you're pretty dry for the time being. You have plenty of heavy rain and some thunderstorms there that are moving just on shore at this time. I'm not seeing anything that's too concerning, at least on radar here. I'm not seeing that. Even looking here in terms of some of these storms moving into Covington County, I'm seeing these winds, they're gusting well below severe limits, so maybe 20 to 30 miles per hour there. 28, 24. Storm relative, we're not seeing in terms of anything. Not seeing any signs of rotation. But it's when these cells move on shore, that's what we have to watch for. So you are under that tornado watch till 5. But when those cells move on shore, there is the chance that a brief spin up can happen as those winds slow down at the surface and as they remain faster aloft. They do have that speed shear and then eventually some directional shear. And then for headland, looking at that risk picking up after 1 o'clock for the potential of a tornado or 2. Also looking at the potential for heavy rain leading to flash flooding there. And then in terms of mobile homes, I'm just going to say make sure you do have a plan just in case a tornado warning is issued. This isn't a situation where I'm saying to leave your mobile homes. I don't expect this is going to be a widespread event, but still I will say to do what you are most comfortable with doing with the risk that we have, which is the potential for a few tornadoes in our area, for you brief spin-ups. I'll say that. So whatever you feel safest, most comfortable doing, that will be my recommendation. So I'm not going to say do it one way or the other, but I will say do whatever is going to be, will be safest for you. But seeing that we have no further questions, I'm going to log off. We're going to end the live.